It's June the 11th, Picks edition of the MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. You can win up to 325 times your entry with their new Pick 8. Sign up with our promo code MLB SGPN to claim your special pick and first time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code MLB SGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Get the best data-driven pops and picks from Rhythm. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. Welcome, everybody, to the MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. My name is Malcolm Bamford, coming to you from Newcastle upon Tyne in the northeast of England. Today is Monday, the 10th of June, and we are here to handicap a full card, or as much as we can, for Tuesday, June the 11th. It is an OG special. It must have been about 3 weeks since I've had the pleasure of doing the show with Mr. Munaf Manji. Munaf, hello, mate. How are you?
How's it going, Malcolm? Glad to be here with you. Been a fun week of baseball these last week. I know we had the London series in your part of the world. The game 2 was fun. Game 1 was also fun as well. But yeah, another week of baseball. We're just chugging along. Can't believe we're already in the month of June. Before we know, we're going to be here at the All-Star break for the MLB season. But looking forward to the new week of betting here, already started on Monday, but getting into the Tuesday card with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got a few things to bring up, Munaf. The first of which is just for health and safety reasons, Munaf. I've just reheated and eaten a pizza that had the 1st of June as the date on it.
Oh,
And we are... So if I fall off my chair, you might have to try and contact the IT department and get an ambulance over here. I was in a rush. I'm not even sure what I was doing in there, but I ate the whole thing. So that's one thing to know, to be aware of. The second thing, Munaf, is what's happened to the Pakistan cricket team. I mean, they are the most New York Mets-like team in the world. I mean, what a terrible week for you. They lost to the USA, and then they lost to India. And you couldn't have handpicked 2 worse teams for you. And especially your dad. I bet Mr. Manji's not been very happy, has he?
Oh, I've been giving it to the family group, our extended family group. We have a group chat with my mom's side of the family, and they're all from Pakistan. So I've been in there chirping a little bit. I started as soon as USA beat them earlier in the week. I was like, hey, my country beat your country. What's going on here, guys? It was funny to see. And then there was, I know, we were talking about it in our group chat, that they actually had a chance to beat India. Like, they bowled very, very well. It's just the batting just never didn't show up for them. And I didn't get to watch the batting side of it. We had a family lunch with my wife's cousins, but my brother-in-law, he's a huge cricket fan, so he had it pulled up on his phone. And as the overs were progressing, and they were like, the run rate was going up, I was like, they're not winning. They're not winning at all. And lo and behold, it just didn't happen for them. But like the quality of the team, it's just not there. I mean, it's not what it used to be for this Pakistan team. So a lot of like fans of the country already know there's not much high expectations, and the always excuse for them is that, they're in it for the money. They ate some money, or it's rigged. So that's the excuse that we get. But yeah, I honestly was not surprised, Mel.
Obviously, I don't know how many of the baseball following of our listeners are aware, but quite a lot of the games have been played in the States, New York and Miami, and there's somewhere in Texas, isn't there? Had a
Dallas.
game or two, I think, Luna?
Yeah, that is in Dallas, yeah.
Yeah, but it looks really, really good. And obviously, you have huge expat communities in all of these big American cities. But I've enjoyed it. Yeah, I done my money on Bangladesh earlier on. They lost their nerve against South Africa in New York. So Bangladesh cost me. So I wanted to cover that. And then finally, just I want to touch on London, Munaf, because I went down for the weekend. I had a lovely time. I went to I give myself the full American experience, Munaf. I went to the honky tonk bar on Friday night, listened to a couple of singers, enjoyed myself, and then obviously went to the game on Saturday. It was a bit of a funny game because Philly were kind of always in control, but it was only that one inning. They put up 6 runs in the 4th inning.
Yeah.
And then there was lots of duck eggs all around that, but I did get to see 3 home runs. I think that the ending of the game yesterday was a bit more exciting on Sunday, but there was no home runs in yesterday's game where I saw Bryce Harper hit one out, which was fun. Then Whit Merrifield's homer kind of busted open. But I did want to mention Munaf, and I haven't mentioned this to Sean, our esteemed leader. The Philadelphia fans are a fairly unpleasant bunch, aren't they? I know that's their thing. It's kind of like their identity. It's what they are known for and what they thrive on. But holy shit, from the minute we got there till the minute we left, there was no need for, and I get it's sport and it's exciting and rivalries. And listen, I'm from the UK. We'll smash the shit out of each other and the town and everyone else's town at the drop of a hat. That's no problem. But I just didn't understand, like, their demeanour was just mean and unpleasant from an hour before first pitch to complete strangers. There was like a lad and dad sitting in the Mets gear, obviously sort of nice UK fans, maybe, just getting loads of shit the whole time, leaving the queue for the tube when everyone was trying to get out. I just didn't get the whole thing. I was really surprised, Muna, Trev saying that for these fans. So, but yeah, mate, if that's their identity, it was pretty intense.
So were they Americans or were they just like UK?
Huge, Americans almost entirely.
I mean, no, those Philadelphia, they're compensating for not winning anything ever, so they have to be mean and rude. But they call it the city of brotherly love, but you're not really gonna feel any type of love coming from that fan base. It's something that's documented historically. They just compensating for something that they can't achieve.
Yeah, I was really surprised by how much of it, but just how unnecessary it was. I get in certain big parts of a game, or if you've lost, or I don't know, but it was just constantly the whole time, and it didn't matter what was going on or who it was. And the other thing, final thing I'll point out, if anybody hasn't caught this caught a little bit of traction on socials yesterday, but the British commentary. The announcer, Darren Fletcher, you'll recognise his voice, Munaf. He does a lot of the Champions League games.
Yeah.
His call of the final play, the double play, when Castellanos' bat explodes, is just absolutely brilliant. And what a talented man Darren Fletcher is to be able to turn his hand to baseball. And he absolutely nailed it. So if you haven't listened to the call of the final double play, go and check that out on social media. Darren Fletcher is indeed an absolute star. Okay, small talk over with. We can make some picks. Let's say hello to TVDBJ, who's first here. Gio, how you doing? Callum, loyalty card stamped. Randy's here as well. Justin McKelvey, catching his first live show. So welcome, Justin. If you have any picks, throw them in the chat. We need all the help we can get. So give us your best bets in there as well. The Daily Dog. 10-minute episodes every day now. A new little invention from the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. Just download the Daily Dog wherever you get your podcasts. Dedicated to giving out underdog picks, which is fantastic. And the Circa announced their $16 million giveaway in guaranteed prizes for Circa Survivor and Circa Millions. Sign up in Vegas and play from anywhere with footballcontestproxy.com. Promo code SGP to get $50 off. Footballcontestproxy.com. Promo code SGP. While we're on the subject of Survivor, I have not survived another week, Munaf. I know you felt the guillotine's blade on your neck last week. I have died this week as well. After we took the piss out of Cousin Mush a couple of weeks ago, died. So that's the end of that. I've survived in another one. The Boston Red Sox. In fact, I was down to my last out pretty much, and the Red Sox tied it up in the bottom of the ninth and won in extras. They bought me another week in one tournament, but in your Survivor tournament, Munaf, I am no longer in, which is a little bit disappointing.
Maybe we have to fire up another one after the All-Star break or something.
Yeah, mate, that's a really good idea. Yeah, it's been loads of fun. I've enjoyed it a lot, especially nights where you're trying not to have as many bets, and the weekends, the Saturday and Sunday night games, get a whole new meaning.
Yeah.
When you've got your survivor picks going. The majority of these games, we've got 4 TBD pitches, and I mean genuine TBD pitches here. Baltimore, Tampa Bay, Cincinnati, and Milwaukee. They're all absolutely TBD. I can take guesses at a couple of them. I think we've got 9 of these games off the board, Muna.
Yeah.
So we can start with a 6:40 Eastern first pitch. No, we can't. 6:35 Eastern first pitch between the Atlanta Braves and the Baltimore Orioles. This one is off the board. It's Max Fried for the Braves, and Baltimore are TBD, but I think it's Albert Suarez going to go for Baltimore. No lines, as we said. Max Fried is probably the most trustworthy thing about the Braves at the moment because they're really struggling. I just don't see them putting much together at all. Fried's been great, however. 1.53 ERA in his last 5. The Braves have won 4 of those. And a 2.63 road ERA, which is absolutely fine as well. That plays. Suarez has been okay. I still think there might be a bump in the road coming for Albert Suarez. I don't know how he can maintain this. Just the pedigree, the sort of track record, especially at the age he is, isn't necessarily there either. And I thought the current form of these two teams means the prices might be closer together with these two starting pitchers than they should be. Atlanta do hit left-handed pitching okay. So I was hoping to see some prices relatively close together for me to take the Braves here. But until I see a line moon off, I can't go much further. But yeah, I do think Atlanta can come out on top on this one.
Yeah, it's been a rather interesting season for the Braves, obviously, with all the injuries that they've dealt with, and no Ronald Acuna Jr. for the foreseeable future, and Spencer Strider at the beginning of the year. But Max Fried, you can trust him on the road. He has 8 starts, 4-1 with a 2.63 ERA. Over the last 5 games, 4-1 with a 1.53 ERA. But they are going to be on the road here in Baltimore. So I know Baltimore's going to be coming off of the 4-game set on Monday night against the Rays. Albert Suarez, you mentioned it. I mean, it's kind of, I need to see a little bit more. I know he's gotten a couple starts under his belt and things like that. Let me see how many total innings. Yeah, 39 in the 3rd innings pitched thus far this season. I mean, he's been pretty solid for this rotation, and the 3 starts that he has made, he's only allowed to come out of 3 earned runs. So I lean more towards the under in this game here, Mal, if it is Albert Suarez who does start for the Baltimore Orioles. Like we mentioned, Max Fried has been really solid, not only on the road, but also over the last 5 games. So yeah, I'll take the under in this game, what that number does pop up.
6:40 Eastern first pitch. The Washington Nationals at the Detroit Tigers. Left-handed pitcher Mitchell Parker for the Nationals, and Kenta Maeda gets the start for the Tigers. It is -112 for the Nationals. It is +105 for Detroit, with a total set at 8.5. Munaf lead us off Washington at Detroit.
Yeah, Mitchell Parker getting the starter for the Nationals, 3-3 on the season, 3.47 ERA. Has been a little bit untrustworthy on the road. He's made 6 starts, 1-3 with a 4.31 ERA. And the Nationals have lost the last 2 starts he has made, which was against the Braves and it was against the Guardians. He's allowed, prior to his last start against the Braves, he had allowed exactly 3 earned runs in those previous 4 starts. But I think for Kenta Maeda, he's a guy that I've been wanting to fade on the road. But he's been pretty good in Detroit. 5 starts, 2-1 with 3.55 ERA. We compare that to what he's done on the road. 0-1 with a 10.80 ERA and 5 starts on the road. So I think this Nationals teams can be sneaky here as well. -115. I think I'm comfortable with that with the Tigers here. So I would look at the Tigers money line -115 in this game against the Nationals.
Yeah, I like Mitchell Parker. There's a bit of a pattern developing with his starts, which is sort of 6 innings, 3 earned runs, which is fine. Kenta Maeda, just at the moment, doesn't seem to know whether he's coming or going.
Yeah.
He's kind of been all over the place. Last time was unfortunate. I think, did he twig his hamstring in the first inning and came out? He wasn't a comeback. I think it was a hammy. But before that, you've got a 4 starts to go. There's a 2-inning outing against Cleveland. Then you've got a 6 and a 4 and 2. It's just a mess. So I can't trust him at all. I'm not saying he can't go well, but I don't think I can bet him in this point. I just like the over. If we're going to get 3 earned out of Parker, the Detroit, both offenses, in fact, have been going quite well. Had a decent weekend. Washington have beaten Atlanta 6 out of their last 8, which is quite remarkable. So yeah, 8.5. I think both teams can get on the board here. I'm not sure about both pitchers, particularly Kenta Maeda. We will move on once I've told you about Underdog Fantasy and their pick 8, which is now live for the NBA Finals, the NBA Gambling Podcast with Mr. Munaf Manji. We'll be all over this. But with Underdog Fantasy in pick 8, you create your entries with up to 8 picks. Underdog automatically double flex entries, so you can miss up to 2 picks and still win. More picks to make, extra ways to win, loads of excitement. You can win up to 325 times your original amount. Sign up with our specific show code, which is MLB SGPN, to claim your special pick and first-time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code MLB SGPN. 6:50 Eastern first pitch. The Chicago Cubs at the Tampa Bay Rays. Jameson Taillon going for the Cubs. The Rays officially TBD. I have seen Zach Eflin as the listed pitcher for this one. No lines, unfortunately. Taillon and the Cubs. Taillon, he gave up 5 earned runs against the White Sox last time out. Before that, he was consistent, if kind of unspectacular. I don't really know what to do with Taillon at the moment. Zach Eflin came back from the IL last time. He had been struggling, had a little stint on the IL, and then came back with 4 innings at Miami. Eflin's going to be important, I think, for the Rays over the next couple of months because they're really struggling. And they're going to look to Eflin to try and pull him out of a slump. They've won 6 of their last 18 games, Tampa Bay. But the Cubs are poor on the road. Taillon hasn't been great recently. And I do think Eflin's going to step up. He had that one game to shake the rust off, went 4 innings. I think he can step up on that. And I think he can get Tampa Bay a win here. So I would take the Rays, Muna.
Yeah, Zach Eflin last year was a pitcher that you wanted to back when he was pitching at the Trop, and being back in the same situation here after missing about 2 weeks, 3 weeks there maybe for the Tampa Bay Rays. He's been solid at the Trop this season. 4 starts, 2-1 with a 2.84 ERA. But this Rays team is completely different from what we've been used to seeing in the past. And like you mentioned, the struggles of Jameson Taillon over the past couple starts here. And I think it's a little bit telling as well. Like you mentioned, he gave up 5 earned runs to the Chicago White Sox that are by far the worst team in the Major League. 10 hits allowed. He's given up a lot of contact. He's allowed at least 3 earned runs in his last 4 starts. Fortunately for him, the White Sox bullpen gave it up to the Cubs, and the Cubs were able to win that game. But prior to that, they had lost his previous 4 starts against the Brewers, the Cardinals, the Pirates, and the Braves here. So I think it's a good spot here for the Rays with Zach Eflin at home. Possibly goes 5 innings in this game. I know he only went 4 in his last start coming back after missing some time there. So if you want to look at the Rays in the first 5 innings, I couldn't talk you off of that, but full game, I would be on the Rays here as well.
Okie doke. Team ride on the Tampa Bay Rays. 7:10 Eastern first pitch. Cleveland Guardians at the Cincinnati Reds. Tristan McKenzie goes for Cleveland. Cincinnati are TBD. I think a little bit of a state of flux for the Reds pitching. I don't know. Graham Ashcraft's been so bad. I'm not sure if they decided to send him down or do something with him. But the Reds are still deciding how quite to shuffle their pack in this situation. But I like the Reds have been playing well lately. They're heating up 8-2 in the last 10. And Tristan McKenzie's been wobbling a little bit. In his last 3 starts, he's given up 12 earned runs, which makes him really quite hard to bet in this situation. The Cleveland's strength has been their bullpen. It's been absolutely outstanding. The bullpen has a 2.35 ERA on the season, which leads MLB. So if McKenzie doesn't go well, then this Cleveland pen are more than capable of backing him up. But I like the Reds here. I like the Reds at home. Like I say, I haven't seen the pitching situation, but McKenzie hasn't been great. And I think Cincinnati have been heating up nicely and can get a home win here, Munaf. Cincinnati for me.
Yeah, I think the Reds team total over is worth a look here as well. McKenzie has given up 8 home runs, Mal, in his last 3 starts. Walks have also been a concern for him as well. 15 walks over his last 5 starts on the road, 0-2 with a 4.50 ERA. So not very good from what they thought that he was going to be. So struggles right now for him. Also 9 home runs, like I mentioned, over his last 5 starts. So like you mentioned, right, the Reds offense is starting to get it going here. So I think it's an opportunity for them to continue staying hot on the batting side and just fade McKenzie in the form that he's in right now. So Reds team total over for me. I know Guardians can score as well. So depending on who starts here for the Reds, I wouldn't be opposed to over in this game here, Mel.
7:10 Eastern first pitch is those pesky Philadelphia Phillies against the Boston Red Sox. Zach Wheeler for the Phillies and Cutter Crawford for Boston. The Phillies are -158, Boston +134. Total set at 8.5, Munaf.
Yeah, Zach Wheeler has been an absolute stud this season. 7-3, the 2.23 ERA. Last 5 starts, 3-0 with a 3.16 ERA. On the road, he's been good as well. 3.21 ERA, 2-1 record. Coming off of just absolutely brilliant starts over his last 2 outings. 13 innings pitched against the Milwaukee Brewers and the San Francisco Giants. Only allowed 1 earned run in that span, 15 strikeouts. Walks are a little bit of a problem for Zach Wheeler. He has allowed 13 walks over his last 5 starts, but I think if he's able to get that under control, he could find some success against his Red Sox team, who honestly struggled over the weekend against the White Sox, at least, giving up runs. But Cutter Crawford, from the start that he had at the beginning of the season, he's just going in the wrong direction right now. Last 5 starts, 0-4 with a 6.43 ERA. Hasn't had a lot of success at Fenway Park. 7 starts, 1-4 with a 4.27 ERA. And the Red Sox have lost his last 6 starts that he's made. And all of those 6 starts have been by multiple runs, at least 2 runs. So I'm not sure if there will be a fatigue factor for the Phillies coming off that weekend series. They did get a day off on Monday, so I think that only benefits them. I'm sure they probably flew right into Boston at Fenway Park. So not maybe a huge flight from London to Boston, but I like Zach Wheeler here. He's in great form. I think he can really contain the bats here of the Red Sox, and just really a fade of Cutter Crawford. So right now on the run line, it is at plus money, -1.5 for Zach Wheeler, +105 for the Phillies. So that's the side I'm looking at here, Mal.
Yeah, I considered that travel angle, Munaf, but it's not a long flight at all, really. They'll take longer flights, I would have thought, domestically at various parts of the season. Not a bad time either for them to leave and get back. So, yeah, I kind of put a line through that angle in. The only holes in Wheeler's line really are the walks that you mentioned, Munaf. He's been excellent. You get 7 innings, most starts. Cutter Crawford has been struggling. He's given up 15 in his last 3, and Boston have lost his last 6 starts. Philly team total was where I got to in this one. So a similar handicap to yourself, Munaf, but just a slightly different angle in where you take Philly on the run line. I think the team total against Cutter Crawford is the way I would take that. 7:10 Eastern first pitch. Miami Marlins at the New York Mets. Left-handed pitcher Jesus Luzardo goes for Miami, and Tyler McGill goes for the New York Mets. Miami are +114. The Mets are -134 with a total of 7.5. There was a few games on this card, Munaf, I actually changed my pick once I'd seen the lines.
Mhm.
And this is one of them. It's really, really hard because, again, you've got the little angle of the Mets travelling back, not a huge problem. So I kind of wanted to fade the Mets. I don't think you can take the Mets at -134 is never appealing because they're still not very good. They got a win, but rather fortunate circumstances. And you don't want to take McGill at -134. That's not going to make you rich either. But Luzardo and Miami aren't making it easy for you to fade the Metsies. Luzardo gave up 9 earned runs against the Rays in his last start. And McGill gave up a ton against Washington as well. I think Luzardo has to bounce back. He's a good pitcher. There's no getting away from that. And I think maybe if the Mets take some time to wake up, I initially had this down as the first 5 under, but seeing the prices moving off, I have to take Miami, I think. Obviously not a great team, but Luzardo against McGill with Luzardo at plus money seems just a little bit egregious to me. I'll take Miami at +114, Munaf.
Yeah, I was struggling with this game. Luzardo has made 3 starts against his Mets team since last year. He's 2-1 with a .47 ERA. He's pitched 19 innings. He's only allowed 1 earned run, including a start earlier this season against the Mets. 6 shutout inning, 5 hits. He allowed 7 strikeouts in that game for Jesus Luzardo. And Tyler McGill hasn't been too bad after the start that he did after the season. Just wasn't getting the run support. He did blow up a little bit, we can say, or at least coming off of the worst start of the season in the 4 starts that he has made. 5 innings, 7 hits, 4 earned runs, 3 walks to 4 strikeouts in that game. And the other part of it is that the Mets have been the best team against left-handed pitching over the last 2 weeks. If you look at team batting average, WRC plus, I want to say OPS, they're number 1 as well. Slugging percentage, they're number 1. On base percentage is number 1. So they've been having a lot of success against left-handed pitching. So, but I think you guys are right. I think that the value is really on the Miami Marlins here on that plus price. I'm not interested in Tyler McGill at -135. So we'll see if the success continues for the Mets against left-handed pitching, or Jesus Luzardo continues his success against the Mets over his last 3 starts. But it would be the Marlins or pass for me.
Robert Martin asking about any weather-related stuff. I've had a little look. A little bit of wind blowing out down in the southwest of the country, San Francisco and San Diego, for the Monday night games. We'll move on with a 7:40 Eastern first pitch between the Colorado Rockies and the Minnesota Twins. Cal Quantrill goes for the Rockies. Minnesota are TBD. Unfortunately, so no lines on this. Munaf, Rockies at the Twins.
Yeah, not much here without knowing the starter for the Twins, but I'm going to quickly talk about Cal Quantrill. 5-4 on the season, 3.58 ERA. He's actually been pretty solid for this rotation of the Colorado Rockies. Last 5 games, 3-1 with a 2.96 ERA. He's been pretty good on the road as well. 3-2 with a 3.48 ERA. And the Rockies have been kind of alternating between win-loss when he has made starts, at least over the last 4 games. Again, it's just depending on who's going to get the start here for the Minnesota Twins. I think Cal Quantrill, I mean, when he was with the Indians/Guardians, is fairly familiar with this Twins team. Trying to kind of see how he's done against the Twins in his career. 11 appearances, 5-0 with a 3.23 ERA. So that's pretty good. He's coming off of 3 straight wins he's had against his Twins team as well. So being familiar with the ballpark, familiar with this batting lineup, I think there's some edges here for the Colorado Rockies. Again, we'll find out who the pitcher is going to be for this Twins team. But right now, as it stands, I'd kind of lean here with the Rockies, shockingly.
Hey, I completely agree with you. Absolutely agree. Quantrill's been pitching really well. The 4 earned runs at the Dodgers is kind of forgivable, but he's held the Phillies, he's held the Padres recently. And the Twins were on another skid. They avoided a 6-game losing streak in that really bizarre ending yesterday at Pittsburgh when was it something to do with a passed ball, and then all of a sudden they scored 7 runs in the top of the 10th. They've been a little bit psychotic, the Twins, and they're going from unreliable and they're just bang average. So I don't really care who's on the mound for Minnesota. They're just whatever price they'll be here against the Rockies. I think they'll be too short to bet. And the way Quantrill's gone, that leads you to the Rockies. Yeah, so completely agree, Munaf. I will take the Colorado Rockies. 7:45 Eastern first pitch. The Pittsburgh Pirates at the St. Louis Cardinals. It is Paul Skeens for the Pirates. It is the Lizard King. Miles Mikolas goes for the Cardinals. -132 Pittsburgh. +112 St. Louis. Total here is at 7.5. I swear Miles Mikolas pitches every day I do this show. For every time. I must have done him 19 consecutive shows this season. I didn't have to look very far here for my pick because I like Pittsburgh are playing well and I like Skeens. St. Louis still aren't playing very well. And Mikolas has settled down a bit. I'll give him that. He's kind of turned consistent. This was another game where I actually changed. I didn't change my pick, but I added another pick having seen the lines. I'll stick with Pittsburgh at -132. But I really like the over 7.5. I thought that line would be higher. Skeens is an absolute stud, but he's going to run into problems against big league hitting. He has to. Even if he pitches really well, the possibility of the Cards putting some on him is going to be there. And Pittsburgh can take enough off Mikolas to get that over 7.5. So my initial play was Pittsburgh, but I've been seeing the lines, Munaf. I really like the over 7.5.
Yeah, it feels like the Pirates couldn't get this number alone because TVDBJ mentioned it on the chat as well that the offense really shows up when Skeens is on the mound. They've scored at least 6 runs when he's made his 5 starts on the season for this Pirates team. Back-to-back games where they've scored 10 runs when Skeen has started against the Dodgers and against the Tigers. Also had 10 against the Cubs, 9 against the Cubs again. So the offense really seems to show up. We know Skeen's going to get off to a great start. He's been solid on the road in his 2 starts. I know a very small sample size, but 2-0 with a 1.50 ERA, which was against the Chicago Cubs, and it was against the Detroit Tigers. And like I mentioned, Mikolas has settled in a little bit over his last 5 starts, 2-1 with a 3.72 ERA, but hasn't been very good in St. Louis, 0-2 with a 5.81 ERA, and his last 2 starts have been back-to-back starts on the road. He's allowed 3 home runs over his last 2 starts as well. Not really a huge strikeout guy, but I just feel like this is an opportunity for Paul Skeens to, to shine again. So I would look at him in the first 5 innings run line for the Pirates. I think you get a nice price on that. Full game, I'm not opposed to it either. It seems like that the cap on Skeens right now is around 6 innings. So I think first 5 is probably the best look for this game for the Pirates for me.
Okay, thank you. Adiemi joined us in the chat. Hello, mate. How are you? Welcome along. If you're betting on NBA player props, then you need to download Rhythm. Rhythm gives you a menu of the best player props for every single NBA playoff game, making it easy to go through and find the best props to put your money on in seconds. Rhythm's predictions are backed by over 3 years of data, and it's either data scientists and quants that focus on fine-tuning the algorithm to give you the best shot at winning. Whether you're making DFS picks or you're having a bet, you've got the player prop graphs to help you feel even more confident. The superstars are covered, the bench players are covered. Rhythm, I've got the best player prop lines, all backed by AI data. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. 8:10 Eastern first pitch. This is a good-looking series, Munaf. Should be fun. The New York Yankees at the Kansas City Royals. Marcus Stroman for the Yankees and Brady Singer for the Royals. -130 New York, +110 Kansas City. Total is at 9.5, Munaf.
Yeah, Stroman getting the start here for the Yankees. I did see that Boone came out on, I believe it's on Saturday. He said that they'll be without Juan Soto for a couple more games. So it may just be the series um, that he won't be playing for the Yankees. Maybe that he does come back for the weekend series, but something we'll keep an eye on for sure. But Stroman has been absolutely fantastic over his last 5 starts, 2-0 with a 2.01 ERA. Excuse me, a lot of success in his road starts as well. 6 road starts now, 3-0 with a 1.82 ERA. And the Yankees have won 4 of the last 5 starts that he has made for this team. So it's for the Yankees. I'm curious to see how they look without Juan Soto in the lineup, because when you add a bat like that, I mean, obviously that changes the entire complexion of your team. Brady Singer on the mound here for the Royals. He hasn't been too shabby either. On the season, 4-2 with a 2.76 ERA. Been absolutely lights out at home, 4-1 with a 2.16 ERA. Also, the Royals have won 4 of the last 5 starts that he has made. His worst start, or his last start, was cut a little bit short against the Guardians, where he did struggle 3 2/3. Did give up 9 hits in that game, 2 earned runs as well. Not a huge strikeout guy either, but I do think that both these pitchers can go along very well here. I feel like this total of 9 is rather large right now for these teams. Again, depending on which direction the wind is blowing, definitely check that. But I feel like 9 is a big number. Maybe first 5 innings under 5, or full game under 9 as well. I think this number is really big. I would expect it to be at 8.5, maybe even an 8, but at 9, that's a big number. So I'll take the under in the Yankees and the Royals game here, Mal.
You've absolutely nailed that, Moon. I'm taking the total at 9.5. This was another game where my original pick was Kansas City. I've then seen the total, and I want to take the under. Exactly as you've just outlined. I think Soto is going to play tonight. I think he's going to be back, Moon. I'm not. Don't quote me on that. I'm not in a great position, but yeah, that my inkling is that reading between the lines of what the manager said, that Soto will be in the lineup tonight. So we'll have to see. Obviously, they get Gerrit Cole back soon as well.
Mm-hmm.
Although the way they're playing, there is no need to rush him, which is why they haven't. Marcus Stroman did have his first bad start of the season last time against the Twins, but he's got enough credit in the bank. I think Singer's been very good, great at home, 4-1, 2.16 ERA, and the Royals have won 5 of his last 6. This is an interesting spot for Kansas City. I'd like to see how well they compete with the Yankees this week. 24-11 at home is quite an incredible record. So, like I say, my first pick was the Royals at plus 110, but that total has caught my eye. So yeah, I'll take the under 9.5 too. Next, we will have. I'm on the wrong page. It is a 8:10 Eastern first pitch between the Toronto Blue Jays and the Milwaukee Brewers. Left-handed pitcher Yusei Kikuchi will go for the Blue Jays. The Brewers are TBD. Earlier on in the chat, Trev suggested it might be Robert Gasser, but I haven't seen anyone at all, so not much more info on that one. Kikuchi bounced back from back-to-back bad starts lately, but I don't know what to do with him at all. The Blue Jays have gone above the Rays now in that division. They put a little run together, but they've taken advantage of a favourable schedule. They're 1 game under 500 now. So I don't know what to do with the Blue Jays either. We've got a big question mark next to the Brewers, so not being confident about any of this, Munaf, I'm quite relieved that we don't have to make a pick here, because we've got no Brewers pitcher and no lines, so we can take a mulligan on this, because it's a weird one to read.
Yeah, the Brewers have struggled against left-handed pitching over the course of the last 2 weeks. They're bottom 6th or bottom 5 when it comes to left-handed pitching, and I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I'm sure I can't trust the Blue Jays offense in any capacity. Like you mentioned, he bounced back very nicely, did Kikuchi, especially against the Baltimore Orioles that are a very good lineup. The previous 4 starts prior to Kikuchi's last start, the Blue Jays had lost all of those games. And is this an opportunity where maybe he blows up again? It's a possibility, but without knowing who's pitching here for the Milwaukee Brewers, I couldn't get you, but I'm definitely not putting my money on the Blue Jays. I've been burned way too many times by them this season.
Well, so here we go, Munaf. We've got an angle into the Blue Jays here. I mentioned that favourable schedule that they've had. As of this Brewers series, their next 19 games are all against teams with a record greater than 500 as we speak tonight. So it could very much be shit or bust for the Blue Jays over the next 19 games. And there's some money to be made somewhere. So whether they're going to heat up, but I would lean towards fading them for the next 19 games. I think that might see us into a little bit more profit, Munaf. So yeah, we'll know a lot more about the Blue Jays in 2.5 weeks' time. 9:40 Eastern first pitch. The LA Angels at the Arizona Diamondbacks. Jose Suarez, left-handed pitcher for the Angels, and another lefty, Jordan Montgomery, goes for Arizona. Plus 152, the Angels. Minus 180, the D-backs. Total is at 9, Munaf.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was just changing pages here. Yeah, Jose Suarez is going to start here for the LA Angels. Looking at his numbers on the season, he's 1-0 with a 6.54 ERA. Actually been pretty solid over his last 5 appearances, I should say. This is going to be his first start of the season. So we're not sure how long he is going to go in this game here for the LA Angels. Might just be 1 inning, 2 innings, maybe 3 innings for him. But it seems like this is going to be a bullpen game for the LA Angels. On the other side here for the Diamondbacks, Jordan Montgomery, who got a late start to the season being a Scott Boras client. That hasn't panned out very nicely for Blake Snell and Mr. Montgomery, but he has been an absolute gas can over his last, I want to say, the entirety of the season. Now, his last 2 starts, 6 innings, 17 hits given up, 14 earned runs, 6 walks, and 5 strikeouts. He also gave up 2 home runs. So I think the value may just be on the Angels here. I'm not putting my money on Jordan Montgomery. Maybe if I look at the over in this game as well, being in a hitter-friendly ballpark, especially with that big outfield, there's absolutely no way I'm laying minus 175 with the Diamondbacks. So I think all the value here is on the Angels on the money line. If you want to take a look at the Angels team total over, I think that's a good look here as well. No part of me wants the Diamondbacks with Montgomery on the mound.
Absolutely agree with you, Munaf. Montgomery at that price is just horrible. They might win, but you can't back them at minus 180. Horrendous. My final note, Munaf, when I handicap this game today is I'll take the Angels if they are north of plus 140, and we're getting plus 152 here. So yeah, the LA Angels absolutely has to be the play. Like I say, might win, might lose, but it's the only angle in if you're betting. 9:40 Eastern first pitch. Oakland Athletics at the San Diego Padres. JP Sears, lefty, goes for Oakland, and Randy Vasquez for the Padres, who are minus 148 at home. Plus 126 Oakland. Total is 7.5. JP Sears 4-5 on the year, 3.93 ERA. Sears can throw the occasional good game, but he isn't as good on the road. Has given up 4 earned runs in each of his last 2 road starts. Randy Vasquez is 1-3 with a 5.40 ERA. He's given up 3 earned runs in each of his last 3 starts. He's got a 5.28 home ERA. The Padres aren't good enough at home for me to want to take them at minus 148. But I'm not confident in Vasquez. I think that total's too low. We had a nice one earlier on at the Yankees we thought was too high. I think 7.5 is too low, yeah? So yeah, I'll take the over, Muna.
Yeah, right there with you. I'm not putting my money on Randy Vasquez, who's been absolutely atrocious. Last 5 starts, 1-2 with a 5.26 ERA. Giving up at least 3 earned runs in 4 straight starts. He'll give you a little bit of length, but then he'll get into trouble. I think it honestly feels like the third time through the lineup is where he does get into trouble. He's allowed 4 home runs over his last 3 starts as well. Like you mentioned, JP Sears has been struggling on the road. 7 starts, 1-3 with a 4.43 ERA. The A's have lost 4 of the last 5 starts that he has made. So maybe if you want to look at a first 5 over, a full game over, couldn't talk you off of that. But I do expect to see runs in this game, like you mentioned, Mal.
Okay, we will move along to a 9:40 Eastern first pitch between the Chicago White Sox and the Seattle Mariners. Drew Thorpe for the White Sox and Brian Wu for the Seattle Mariners, who are minus 235 at home, with the White Sox plus 194 and a total of 7.5. I did kind of just want to gloss over this and go Seattle run line, just out of sheer instinct. But I thought I would take the time just to have a little look at Drew Thorpe so other people knew what they were getting into. Firstly, the White Sox are 5-21 in their last 26 games, which is ridiculous. Where Seattle are 10-4 in their last 14, which ties for the best record in MLB in that span. But Drew Thorpe, he's an interesting character. He was a key piece in the trades for Dylan Cease and Juan Soto. 23 years old, and they've promoted him straight from AA here, completely skipping AAA, where he had a 153 ERA. He's not a massive big name prospect, 59th in the MLB pipeline. I just don't really like that skip. So he's interesting. Thorpe's interesting. But even if he does pitch okay, the White Sox still suck really, really hard. And Brian Wu's been great. So we might get 3 or 4 decent innings out of Thorpe. Doesn't mean the Seattle won't beat them 5-0. So as much as I try to have a look and see if I could do something, it's a really boring Seattle run line, Munaf.
Yeah, I mean, Brian Wu's numbers just speak for himself thus far this season. He's been absolutely incredible. 3-0 with a 1.07 ERA, 24 strikeouts, only 2 walks. At home, 15 2/3 innings pitches, only allowed 1 earned run. And the Mariners have won 5 straight starts that he's made. And 4 of those 5 starts have been by 2 or more runs. So let me see if I can find a run line price on it for him. It might be at a big minus price here, but I think the only way I would be able to look would be the Seattle Mariners run line. It is at plus price right now at plus 102 over on FanDuel. Couldn't talk you off of that minus 1.5. The only concern that you do have is, are the Mariners going to be scoring enough runs, because their offense has been a little underwhelming thus far this season. So, but yeah, that would be the look for me, minus 1.5 plus 102.
The penultimate game on the show is a 9:45 Eastern first pitch between the Houston Astros and the San Francisco Giants. Ronel Blanco for the Astros and Jordan Hicks goes for San Francisco. It's close on the books, this one. Minus 112 the Astros, minus 104 the Giants. Total 7.5. Munaf, are you officially worried about these Astros now?
Yeah, especially now that Kyle Tucker was put on the 10-day IL. I think Alex Bregman left the game on Sunday as well. We'll see if he's playing here tonight or not, but injuries on both sides of the baseball for the Astros. So, I mean, this team hasn't been afraid to make the moves when it comes to the trade deadline, whether it's been adding a bat or whether it's been adding a pitcher. So we'll see if they're able to do that. But I think the consolation is, or I guess you don't want to press the panic button just yet, is that they're playing in the AL West, where these teams just have not been very good. I mean, you just take a look at the standings right now. The Astros are only, and I say only, 6.5 games out of the first place team, the Seattle Mariners. So I think we talked about this. I think last time you and I did the pod, is that it just takes a little bit of a winning streak to just kind of get back into the standings and into the win column. But I think the first order of business for the Astros is going to be, let's get back to 500 baseball, and then we'll see what happens then. But they're still in it. They're only 6.5 out. We still have about 100 plus games left to play, or a little less than 100 games left to play. So we'll see. Well, as far as this game goes here, Mal, I mean, Ronel Blanco, we know we had that situation with the substance that they did find. He did come back, bounce back very nicely against the Oakland A's. 7 innings, 1 earned run, but he has struggled over his last 2 starts. He's allowed a total of 8 earned runs off of 8 hits and just about 10 in a third inning pitched. So we'll see. But he's been solid on the road, 4-0 with a 2.08 ERA for the Astros. So I think he can continue his success here against this Giants team. Meanwhile, like you mentioned, Jordan Hicks on the other side for the San Francisco Giants thus far on the season, having a pretty good year, 4-2 with a 2.82 ERA, 3.75 ERA over his last 5 games. He's been really good in the Bay Area, 2-1 with a 2.52 ERA. But also coming off a couple of starts where he did struggle, in particular against the New York Yankees, but who's not struggling against that team? I think the both pitchers can go along well here. May turn into a pitcher's duel here, especially with the bats that the Astros are missing. So I'll look at the under in this game between these two pitchers, or maybe the first 5 innings if you want to take the Astros bullpen out of it. Maybe you'll get a 4 if you shop around. Might be juiced to the under a little bit, but I do expect a pitcher's duel between Blanco and Hicks here, Mel.
I'm not quite as confident about the Astros being able to right this ship as you, Munaf. Akidi and is it Javier now done for the season? Elbow surgery.
Yep.
Little talk about them trading Bregman as well. I don't know if you've heard much about that. But unfortunately for Houston, Ronald Blanco, who was a bright spot, has just started to let in a little bit of water lately. And that's the last thing they need. It's getting late, early for the Astros. Hicks has got a 2.52 home ERA. The Giants are 17 and 14 at home. That Houston road record's terrible. They blew another lead last night. I think they blew 2 decent leads, actually. Hit the Angels of all teams. You have to take the Giants here, Munaf, minus 104 for me. I'll take San Francisco. Finally on the card, unfortunately off the board this last game, it's the Texas Rangers at the LA Dodgers. Dane Dunning for the Texas Rangers and left-handed pitcher James Paxton for the Dodgers. Dunning is my guesstimation here, officially TBD. I've seen no lines, Munaf. I mean, Dunning, if it is him, short starts, inconsistent, no real patterns with him, struggled a little bit here. 4-4 with a 4.09 ERA. And Paxton, I found really, really hard to analyse. His game log is all over the place. His last 3 games started, he's only managed 9 1/3, giving up 11 earned runs. So he might bounce back, but we can't bet on it. I think the bet here that gives us most options in terms of either team scoring runs is the over. Because I think both teams, both pitchers, everyone can get involved here. But I haven't seen the line, and that was as far as I got, Muna. You on mute, Munaf, Eminem.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was mentioning that Dane Dunning had a start last year around July 22nd against the Dodgers, and only lasted 3 innings in that game, gave up 7 hits, 5 earned runs. 2 of the 7 hits that he did give up were home runs. And then he had a start back in 2021, same story, gave up 4 earned runs as well. And now you're going up against there's maybe even a more potent offense in this Dodgers team than what he saw last season into the prior. Teoscar Hernandez went absolutely incredible at Yankee Stadium over the week, and I'm sure a lot of people were watching that series between the Yankees and the Dodgers. But I think runs are probably in order here. James Paxton, like you mentioned, his game log's a little bit all over the place. Has been successful at Dodger Stadium. I mentioned that 4 starts, 2-0 with a 2.78 ERA. But outside of that, I just think that he's been very fortunate to be backed by this offense where maybe the record is a little bit inflated at 5-1. So I know the Rangers have had players and batters coming in and out of the lineup. They've been dealing with injuries as well. But again, I expect to see runs in this game. I would probably see maybe an 8.5 in this game. I would still like the over.
Okay, Munaf. 15 games, as much as possible in the book, Munaf. We need a lock and a dog. Are you doing yours on the fly? Would you like to lead off, or do you want me to have a look?
Why don't you lead it off?
Okay, the main reason is because I haven't decided. But I'm a quick thinker, Munaf. So a couple of totals I liked. We liked the under 9.5 at the Yankees and the Royals, but I'm going to take the over 7.5. Athletics at the Padres. Oakland always join in with a few, don't they? We'll take a little Brent Rooker 3-run shot here. Zach Geloff can hit one, and Randy Vasquez can give up a few. And the same with JP Sears. So 7.5 seems too low in that one. I'll take the over 7.5. And for my dog, some fancy ones here. I'm considering Colorado. Let's have a look at the Angels, though. Minus 180 for Jordan Montgomery, the way he's pitching at the minute, is an absolute madness. And the Angels are funky enough. We just talked about that little comeback win against Houston. Plus 152 for the Angels. I think it's a more than fair price. There's not too much between these two teams. Certainly not the way Montgomery's pitching. So yeah, give me the Angels as my underdog, Munaf.
All right. All right. For my lock, let's go with I'll back those Phillies with Zach Wheeler. He's been really, really good to me this season when I have backed him on the run line, minus 1.5, plus 105. Cutter Crawford, just all the success that he had early in the season, he's just going in the wrong direction right now. And we know Zach Wheeler is always in that conversation of Cy Young, just because that's how dominant he is. So you get all 9 at bats with this Phillies team being in Fenway Park. I think there's an opportunity here for the Phillies to really get to Cutter Crawford. So I'll take the minus 1.5 plus 105 as my lock for the Phillies. For my dog, yeah, we talked a lot about some of the big dogs that we did like, whether it was the Angels, whether it was the Marlins as well. Again, some of the lines that are not up, so I don't want to give out a pick where we don't have lines. I also do like Colorado, like you mentioned, but let's go with the Marlins tomorrow. Plus 114 is what I'm seeing. I know it's not a huge dog, but talked about the success that Jesus Luzardo has had against this New York Mets team. Maybe some fatigue for the Mets coming from London. I know they had a day off in between traveling back Sunday, having the Monday off, and then getting back to it at Tuesday. But Tyler McGill, can I trust him? I'm not sure, but I think this is an opportunity for the Marlins, especially with how bad that bullpen is for the Mets. We've talked about it a lot. I'll take the Marlins here with Jesus Luzardo on the mound, plus 114 on the money line for me.
I haven't seen you deliberate that hard for quite a while, Munaf. You were all over the place. Well done, mate. That was good. Everything handicapped. Is there anything else you'd like to tell the people before we let them go?
No, I think we pretty much covered it. I know NHL season and NBA season's winding down since they're both in their finals respectively. So then all eyes will be on baseball. So definitely looking forward to it. We're in the month of June, and then for another All-Star break, we'll be here, but still a lot of baseball to be played. So we'll be here as we usually are, Sunday through Friday.
Well, some eyes, Munaf, will be on the Euros, which start on Friday. But you can watch the Euros and the baseball separately. The Premier League Gambling Podcast, we just finished our Euro preview. We did our £1 million show. So if you want your Euro outright, go and find the Premier League Gambling Podcast. Shameless plug for me and Baz. Thanks, everyone. The chat was absolutely buzzing tonight. Loads of shrewd stuff in there. We really appreciate it. Makes the show 10 times better when it's a bit more interactive. So that was great. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Munaf. Enjoyed chatting with you for the first time in a little while. As per usual, we will be around all week. So just check the show scheduling on YouTube. Back tomorrow night in some capacity or other. And until then, we will see you down the road. Cheers.